Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years. Hello out there in Quilty Land. I'm Mary Fons, and Mom, welcome back to the show.
It's always fun to be here.
Marianne Fons, everybody. Round of applause. So there's kind of a trend right now in the quilt world. It's been a trend for a long time, as long as people have been making quilts.
Actually,
there have been people who have hand-pieced their work, and we love our Baby Lock sewing machines. We love our wonderful tools that we have today. But right now on the blogs and things, you see it, Heather, right? There's a lot of process stuff going on where people take time and slow stitch and enjoy the process. And I always enjoy my process, but some people want to try handwork because it goes slower. So tell me.
Well, sure. Because I kind of relate it to, if you want to get somewhere fast, you get in a car, you get in a plane. But if you want to really enjoy getting there and think and kind of zen out, you walk. So going for a walk is something I do every day because I like to think.
Right.
But I'm doing that for pleasure.
Yes.
But if I want to get somewhere, which is always where I want to get with the quilt, I like faster methods.
Right.
That doesn't mean there is not a ton of value in sewing by hand, and it's good to know how it's done.
Exactly, and when you're doing like a set-in diamond or something, hand piecing's easier.
There's patterns you really can hardly. I mean, like hexagons, grandmother's flower garden. I mean, people have proved you can do it by machine, but what's the point of machine stitching for a half an inch and then having to stop? So what I brought along, and always when I come on Quilty, or so often, it's kind of a trip down memory lane for me because I hunt up things from my archives, so to speak. So this is the first quilting book I ever owned. My mom gave it to me for Christmas in 1972 before you and your sisters were ever born.
Freaks me
out. No, and so it was really the only resource I had for a long time. And this is way before the rotary cutter was available, before strip piecing, all our brilliant quick methods. And you can see that each pattern has templates. So we, for whatever shape, unfortunately, some of these patterns were not accurately drafted, but I didn't know that. So for each shape, even a square like this 9 patch, I would cut, usually it was cardboard. When I first started, we didn't have this template material. So I would cut the shape, and then for each one of my pieces, and I've turned one over to the back here, I would draw around that shape. And then my big shears were my most important tool because then I would very neatly cut the 1/4 inch with my scissors.
And you just eyeballed that 1/4 inch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Interesting.
Right. So once you had all your pieces cut out, this line is a sewing line. So I'm going to pick up 2 pieces right sides together, and what I'm going to do is a pin.
Isn't it amazing? We have the rotary cutter because it's like you had to template, cut, bam.
Think what the women could have done. Mostly women of the 19th century had all our stuff.
They would have jumped over dead bodies to get
to
a rotary cutter.
So I'm looking at my destination because I'm going to sew right to left. So I'm going to put a pin, and you want a real fine pin in my destination right there. And then I'm going to put it through to the back of my destination on the other side. So this is how you would do every single piece.
And those women, I mean, the women who hand piece are like crazy fast. Ginny Byer, she's ambidextrous, and she could finish a quilt top in
if only
a couple
we all
weeks.
were. Yeah. Well, I don't know how long, but I did a lot of hand piecing and then switched to machine because our methods just kept getting better and better. Something I thought people might like to see is this quilter's knot. And all us old hands at quilting, we've been doing it forever, and I use it still for any kind of knot that I make. So what you do, and this is how I teach people, is you pretend like you're introducing the needle and the thread. Hi, thread, I'm needle. Hi, needle, I'm the thread. You put them facing each other, and then you open your forefinger and thumb and put that end, pinch it. Then you wrap your needle, and the more wraps you make, the bigger the knot is. And then I just slide that down between, I'm pinching it there, and I keep on holding it, pinching it, while I pull this through gently. And like magic, it makes this knot.
Love it.
Isn't that neat?
You taught me how to do that.
Okay, so now I'm going to take now if this were longer, in fact, I even think I will put in another pin here.
What kind of needle are you using to stitch?
Oh, this is, I'm so glad you asked that because it's known as a sharp. So you want a long, thin needle that doesn't make a big hole in the fabric when you're hand piecing.
Let's see, self-thread, are those are sharps.
Well, right, these are mostly hand quilting pieces in there right now. But, you might have a little box like this where you keep your super little things.
This is when you need thimbles.
Yes, it is.
You need thimbles on your sewing machine.
So now I'm going to take my needle, my threaded needle, and I'm going to go into that first spot, check it on the back, make sure the pieces are lined up, and I begin by making one stitch, okay? And then, just to be sure, I make a back stitch so that corner is super secure, okay?
Interesting.
So
I haven't done
you haven't done this, and you don't have to, if
I've
you want to.
never done it.
Okay, so now here, and we're going to spend 2 episodes on this because I'm going to show you how to do the stitch, and then we're going to go on to ending and so forth. So it's just a running stitch, and I'm using red thread. It's just sewing thread, you don't want a thick thread. You want a cotton thread, and so I go back and forth, loading my needle.
Times. 3 times?
No, the hand quilting will be fewer stitches, but I load the needle, and then I pull it through. And I check to make sure. Ooh, I kind of missed that line.
I want to do this so bad now.
Okay, I kind of missed the line. I'll have to fix that later.
Give me that.
Okay, so then what I should have done is kind of scratch these around and make sure. So I'm going to go through here, and what I'm going to do, this is important, is since I have my needle and thread out, I'm going to do a back stitch because it strengthens that.
Okay.
So I go back instead of going forward.
So you make it take longer than it
Yeah,
usually
well,
would.
because the thing is, if this ever got pulled out, it would only pull out to that back stitch.
Right,
okay?
I get it.
So
now,
as I continue,
quick question though. Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, how many stitches per inch are you going for? Does it just it doesn't really matter so much because it's behind.
Right.
It's behind. It's in your seam. You just want to make it strong.
As far as I know, people have never bragged about how many stitches to the inch they get when hand piecing. That's the whole hand quilting thing, which we're going to do in another episode. Yeah. So you can really load your needle because you want to, and I imagine that those hand piecers in the past, the needle would be flying, and the talk would be going. Ooh. And
who drank lemonade with who on the front porch?
Indeed.
Scandal.
And who's what's that angel food cake? Didn't fall.
Right,
and who's did?
Who won the quilt show and who was holding hands at the dance?
Yes, indeed. So you just keep doing this, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go to the end on this, and show you how we end, because then we'll pick it up again at the end. But what we'll do is I'm going to show, and there's something I hadn't thought of that I want to be sure and show everybody. So you get to the end,
and you take your pin out,
and make the last hole in the hole where the pin was, and then at that corner I'm going to make another back stitch.
Okay.
And then you know what I'll bet they did is I would just pick up the others. This would be chain piecing.
Chain piecing back in the day.
Chain piecing back in the day.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the way to get started with hand piecing.
I really want to do it now really bad. I'm serious.
There's another episode to show you some more.
We got more to show you. Come back next week on Quilty. Thanks, Mom.
Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella, a unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield, together we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing, cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda, make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott, cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid, providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years.